Hello, this is Christina Barr, and you're watching Black Tea News. Hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about Carlee Russell, who was allegedly kidnapped. My sisters every day like, are you going to talk about it? Are you going to talk about it? So I was going to talk about it yesterday, but you guys know that I had to table the show because we had crazy weather. I'll show you how crazy it was in a second. But so my power was going in and out, and that's not usually a thing that happens, at least around immediately in my vicinity. We don't lose power too often. So I was just like, I don't want to be doing something and then all of a sudden there's no show. So I was like, I'll table it for tomorrow. So today we're probably going to have a big long show. I don't expect to only be talking to you guys for an hour, and we'll see how long it goes, but it's not going to be more than 2 hours, but we'll be talking for a while. So also want to talk about the whistleblower testimony that happened that wasn't getting a lot of play for reasons, because I assume because it makes the president really look bad. So I'm gonna play the entirety of Ziegler's testimony, opening statement anyway, and some of the fumbles from the Democrats. So we will talk about that. We will also be talking about some of this continued fallout from Jason Aldean's song, Try That in a Small Town. I don't listen to country music. I'm not too familiar with this artist. And we already talked about this subject and went through the song, which, by the way, I totally did get flagged, but I did challenge it as a fair use. So we'll see if they allow that or not, if they let that pass. But we'll at least talk about it a bit again. I posted a video on TikTok yesterday, I guess it was. Yeah, it was yesterday. And it's doing pretty well as far as views and eyes on it. And it's doing well on Twitter. It's doing, okay on YouTube as a short, not anywhere near the level of like what's going on other apps regarding that video. I don't know. YouTube really, if I say Dylan Mulvaney and talk about trans stuff, they're like, views. I'm like, there's other important things in the world, bruh. Like, why are you trying to just make this the thing that feeds and pushes out of my algorithm? It's just very strange. But people had all kinds of comments. Now, a lot of people were like, oh, thank you for saying this, or, oh, this is what I thought. Oh, yeah, I don't see how it can be racial. But there were definitely some comments that people made. So someone asked me if I had receipts. And I do have receipts, which I'm very puzzled if people can't imagine that people would say racial things to me. As if I know people make up stuff, but is it so far-fetched that people would say racist things to me? But yeah, I do have receipts. I'm not going to show you any of them live because they're on my phone. They're not pulled up instantly to be shown to you guys. So I'll do a TikTok or something and post it on the social medias with some of the stuff on there. If you're just really that curious about how people talk sideways, it doesn't hurt my feelings too much. You know that meme, or it's not a really it's a meme born from a TV show where there's a professor who says, your boos mean nothing to me. I see what makes you cheer. Every assault against me is a boost my self-esteem, or something like that. So it's kind of like that. Like, I see what you guys root for, what you vote for, what you push, what you say. It's very funny to me that all these people keep saying there's all these racist dog whistles. I'm like, I wonder why you can hear them. I wonder why you can hear the racist dog whistles. And everyone else is like, I don't see anything racial about it. So anyway, we'll have a loaded plate today on the topics. Thank you guys for joining me, and again, I do apologize for having to table yesterday's show, but it was really crazy. But please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, different videos, etc. Um, if you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate. It costs to stream, costs to run my website and all that stuff. So if you can support, I very much do appreciate it. You, whether it's a gift of $10 or $20 or $50 more, people have done more than that. But it's all very appreciated, like I said, and does really help with the overhead. So if you're watching on Facebook, you guys can give stars. If you're watching on YouTube, you can do super chats and super thanks. But you can just go to the website. There's a link in the description if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. You guys can also check out different merch at the store, like the "I'm Not the Victim You're Looking For," "Be Better Not Bitter," which, I made for various reasons. They're so relevant today. So check out different merch that we have available at blacktnews.com. Some good stuff there, and I promise I'll have some more stuff on there very soon. Also, you guys can check out different books that I've written as well. I'm very appreciative of people checking out my books like Super Kid for their kids and stuff. One of my subscribers said that they got it for their 10-year-old, and they got a double-decker PJ peanut butter and jelly sandwich and just sat down for like 4 hours and knocked it out, and they really couldn't put it down. So and they already got the second one. So I'm very, glad for you guys checking out my stuff. But I have lots of books that I have published, 17 altogether, 2 nonfiction, and the rest are fiction. So thank you for supporting me in that way and helping to build that, parallel economy. So thank you very much. I do have funny to show you guys. I do have something funny, very funny. Very funny, in my opinion. I'm gonna table it till we get to the portion with the Carlee Russell story. I want to start just talking about the Aldean thing. But before I talk about that, I want to show you guys just how crazy the storm was yesterday. I live in Michigan, and I didn't really see hail. I didn't think there was hail. I mean, it just seemed like there was a lot of there was lightning and there's thunder. I did take a picture of this tree that was just like demolished, that was just out in the road. But I saw this online, and this was pretty wild.
How much of your inventory would you say was affected roughly?
100%.
100%? Okay.
Every car in this lot has damage on it. Our big takeaway is no employee got hurt, no customer got hurt during the storm, which is good. Obviously, it's moderately crippling as a business. We have 2 other BG stores, so we can suck some inventory from other sister stores, and then new stuff arriving daily, but obviously it's not ideal.
Yeah, to me, it was when the lights and stuff started flickering, I was just like, to me, it didn't seem that crazy. I opened up the door and it was, raining. And then there was like lightning. I'm like, okay, maybe it's bad. And then it just got super crazy, the rain. And it was only like really, really bad for like an hour. The hour we would have spent together. But it's okay. Had a little time to myself, I guess. So yeah, it was crazy. I didn't just blow you guys off. The storm was actually pretty bad. So glad to be back. So Jason Aldean. Again, I'm not a country music person. There's a couple songs, here and there that I've enjoyed or whatever, but I don't really listen to a lot of secular music. But country isn't my zhuzh, isn't my thing. I don't know much about Jason Aldean. Not really. So when people were talking about this song, I saw it trending on Twitter, and then I looked at the lyrics, and I'm like, these lyrics aren't racist. What the heck? They're not racial. So I will say the lyrics. If you're unfamiliar, again, we did talk about this, but and I'm not gonna play it because I don't want to end up getting flagged again, but it is what it is. A sucker punch somebody on a sidewalk, carjack an old lady at a red light, pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. Yeah, you think it's cool. Well, act like a fool if you like. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag, and light it up. Yeah, you think you're tough. We'll try that in a small town, see how far you make it down the road. Around here, we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't. Try that in a small town. Got a gun that my granddad gave me. They say one day they're going to round up. Well, that bleep might fly in the city. Good luck. Try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Around here, we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't. Try that in a small town full of good old boys raised up right. If you're looking for a fight, try that in a small town. Try that in a small town. Try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road, etc. They just repeat the course, right? So, looking at the list of crimes, again, not racial. I wouldn't automatically think, oh yeah, that's this song's totally about black people. Um, the cussing at the cops, spitting in their face, like I immediately have imagery of things that have happened in the past couple of years. I immediately go to Antifa and other stuff like that. I talked the other day and last week, I think, about someone who was a young kid. They're like a young white kid talking about just they're being really disrespectful about cops and they just kept calling them pigs and stuff. And that was a white kid. I just wouldn't automatically go, oh, this song is about black people. So I watched the music video, and it has you know a variation of people in there. Some people, I'm sure I've seen more footage than the average person that with the riots and different things that happened. I've seen and shown more Kenosha footage than I guess the average person. One of my top videos that I guess the best stream that I ever had, I was going through Kyle Rittenhouse's trial, and I was like, okay, I want you to know how bad it was in Kenosha when all this stuff was going on. So let's start here. And I just started playing different videos of the protesters who would like go up to people just in their cars and they didn't want to let them pass, or they were hitting their property and stuff, or burning down buildings, or robbing and looting and knocking out an old man. And I'm like, so this is the stuff that was going on. This is what the police weren't stopping. And so people, reached out. And so I don't think it was wise for, obviously hindsight is 2020, but Kyle to go there. But he shouldn't have had to have gone there. I don't have a problem with people protecting their property. I don't have anything against rooftop Koreans or anything like that. But I don't think it should have had to have been him. But people are mostly, to me, it just seems like with the song, the whole controversy is that people are offended. That one, he's drawing attention to some crazy things that are happening. But the main thing is that he's saying, I'm not going to submit to being your victim. I think that's really the real problem. I think that's the real issue with the song. Again, and be like, well, they show BLM riots, or they don't have they have a problem with BLM, and okay, all the people at the BLM riots were not black people either. And I mentioned in my TikTok video that the people who Kyle Rittenhouse, there was two that he killed, and there was into self-defense, and the other one that she shot, Gage, I can't say his last name. I can't think of it, but I can think of kind of how it looks, but I'm not going to attempt it. But his name was Gage. He's the one who testified at the trial. So there's like one person he shot who survived and two that were killed, and they weren't good guys. And I don't think they were there because they just love black lives and care so much for black justice so much. I just don't buy that. But they were white, and at first the media was making it seem like was making it so racial, the coverage, that people thought that he killed black people. My parents, who do not consume like left-wing media, they're not, they thought that he killed black people until we told them. Like my dad was overseas, so he wasn't looking at a lot of news and stuff, but he was under the impression that Kyle Rittenhouse killed black people. And so I had sent him an article that I wrote, and then he had called me back and he's like, "Man, that was a really good article." And he's like, I didn't know all that." And he's like, "It's really scary what the media can make you think, what it makes you believe." And my dad doesn't use terms like scary very often. So I just thought that was really profound, because I'm like, they really can make so many people believe things. And then there was different headlines literally saying that he killed black people. But even when you correct it, like, no, he didn't kill any black people, like, well, those people were there for a BLM rally, therefore he's a racist. Again, I don't think those people were there, especially like the person who just got like basically out of a mental institution and threatened, to basically harm Kyle as soon as he basically saw him. I don't think those people were there for justice, for Black lives. And I don't think people who were acting a fool there were there with the best intention of Black people. I don't. That you don't go burn stuff down and loot, and because you care about Black people. That's not how you show affection. It's not how you do it. So my mind is going to that kind of imagery. So if you automatically think like, and Black people or Hispanic people or whatever, these are just crimes. So to me, it's offensive that people find any of this racial at all. So you got the lyrics that are not racial, then you look at the music video and it's not racial. And there's a big video on TikTok that I didn't see till later, that maybe it started this drama, because it had over 2 million views when I looked at it. And I see people on Twitter sharing it. I saw some people sharing it to kind of counteract my video or whatever. And I'm just like, this woman is a racist. I don't care what she has to say. But I did watch her video, and it was racist to read these crimes like, whoop, carjacking an old lady. They're talking about us Negroes. I'm like, I don't know anyone who's carjacked an old lady. I wouldn't jump to it being about a Black person. Sorry, no. And again, if you watch the video, it's pretty diverse. People talking about Molotov cocktails and things like that were in the video, and some of it was stock video. But I'm like, I have clear images in my head of particular people during those riots doing those particular things. Like one person who threw like Molotov cocktails, like I remember an image of a woman in a car, and she was like a lawyer or something like that, a professional, not, in the real world, who's going around doing this stuff for justice. So so even people are like, he's trying to trick people by using stock image photos. I'm like, all these things happen. People should be more offended that it happened, that these crimes are happening, than someone making a song about it and saying, I'm not going to let you come to our town and terrorize people. It's not going to last long. And I think everyone pretty much knows instinctively that he's correct. I've lived in not a big city, it's a small urban city, and I've also lived in small town, like a rural area, and I've also lived in the suburbs. And I can say that I don't think any of that stuff would fly pretty much in any of the areas that I probably lived in. And even in the city, it's too close to the suburbs, like different suburban areas where and we have a pretty good police force and stuff. So I would not fly. It wouldn't fly. And it in different places. It just wouldn't. And I think people know that. So some people are like, well, it promotes mob justice. I think it promotes the idea that we're not going to allow you to victimize us. Not that we're going to hunt people down, just that if you try something, people are going to defend themselves. That's the vibe I get. And I can't say that I don't understand the reach that people are reaching to get to. I can see it, the reach. But that's if you want to look at that world through that racial lens. And there's a lot of people who have that. Now, after the fact, people have looked into the history of the building where it was shot and are like, "Oh, well, there was a lynching that happened a long time ago." And I'm like, "This is in a local courthouse in the South. I imagine there's probably a lot of bad things that have happened on locations at different places in the South. Just, we have a complicated, complex history that we're not, entirely proud of. We don't weren't always shining examples of liberty. But there a lot of people film different stuff at that location. Disney has filmed stuff at that location. Lifetime, I think, has filmed movies at that location. Um, it's a, profound, I guess, location in that area, whatever. It's local to them. It's a courthouse. They filmed it there. But the interesting thing about people like, well, this proves that it's racist. Okay, okay. Well, one, again, the language of the song isn't racial. The music video has different races in it. So if you're saying it's a pro lynching song because it's from a site that had lynching in the past, if they were even aware of that when they made it, because if they weren't aware of it, it's all kind of moot. But if you're saying that it's a pro lynching song, are you saying that he wants to lynch the white people that were in the music video? Is that what you're saying, or just the black people that he showed? Why even like show so many white people doing stuff? I, and then I've heard people say like, why? Well, why didn't he mention January 6th? That's an interesting route to go. I'm like, okay, because that totally would have tilted the white to black ratio. So, like, so you just think there should have been more white people in it to prove that it's not. Well, if there would have been more white people in it, you think that would have still made it racial or racist? I think people would still argue that. But then it goes when people start going to that route. I think they pretty much take their mask off. That your concern isn't really about black people and racism and etc. Your concern is politics. Your concern is politics. And again, people don't like that he's pointed this out, that there's high crime in particular areas, these big cities, that there's particular bad policies that encourage bad behaviors. And we are being pretty much conditioned, I think, to just kind of accept living in these terrible conditions. These cities that want to go like the no cash bail, the folks who want to go like the really soft on crime, the DAs, etc., these George Soros justice reform folks. California, like, oh, you can totally steal a bunch of stuff if it's under this price. People are like, okay, let's get a mob in there and we'll all steal X amount of dollars. um it really keeps you got Bragg who wants to go after Trump but announce particular crimes he's not really going to go after and prosecute. So you're just really fostering a harmful environment to the people who live there. I see people all the time talking about getting out of cities or leaving, or they'll leave a big city and be like, I really like my small town. I really like the suburbs. I'm really glad that I left. I see that all the time. People say stuff like that. People are very concerned about crime all over the place. Well, not all over the place, particular places. Not saying that there's not crime everywhere, but in these big, dense, populated places. I mentioned Daniel Penny the other day, and I'll mention him again. He was the man on the subway who there was Neely who was threatening people, different passengers on the train. Obviously wasn't all there, and Neely like put him in a hold, and two other guys assisted, and they subdued him, and he ended up passing away. And so Penny has been charged. Now people on the train were like, no, he's a hero, I'm glad he did, I'm glad he stood up to him or whatever. He got charged. We'll see what ends up happening to him in his trial. We'll see what ends up happening. But it kind of seems like from different commentary, like there was I can't think of his name, from the Surfs. He was on Tim Pool's podcast. But his like social media is like the Surfs. I can't think of his name. But they were talking about Daniel Penny on that show. And trans issues and abortion. There's a really viral clip from that interview about abortion going around. And but he's like, yeah, stuff happens on the subway all the time, but I would just never think to do anything. And I'm like, you pansies. I'm like, if you were on a train and there was someone threatening women saying, I don't care if I go back to jail and other stuff like that, and you were concerned that he might do harm to the passengers there and the women there. And now, of course, they didn't all know his history, his repeated history of pushing people in front of trains and all kinds of different stuff, multiple arrests. But they did know that he said he's been to jail, doesn't care to go back if he goes back to jail, and that he was willing to harm people. So if that stuff was going down, or if you see people, because people do get not only physically harassed, but verbally harassed, but physically harassed on these subways and stuff. So if you were of the opinion that it just is what it is, and we should all just shut up and just take it, and you wouldn't stand up to defend the innocent, I think that's really the juxtaposition of what goes on in a big city versus him saying, don't try that mess in a small town, because we wouldn't allow you to come in here and treat women and children all kinds of different ways. We're not going to put up with that. We're going to put you in your place. We're going to put you in your place. So if that offends you, I think you should be more offended by the crime. That's what I think. That's what I think. So people have all kinds of different opinions about this stuff, and I voiced my opinion, and like I said, it's going around, and a lot of people are like, oh, thank you for speaking out, thank you for saying that, etc., blah blah blah. I appreciate words of affirmation. Sometimes it's a little awkward, but like in real life, I hope I don't look too awkward when people like compliment me, but it is, I don't know, I'm just really introverted. But I appreciate, words of affirmation. I don't do it for affirmation though. I just voice my opinions because I don't know, they're mine. I think it's worth saying. And I think other people have a similar opinion, and I think there's a lot of people out there who are too I think, I guess what I'm finding out, a lot of people, when I make a post or something, a lot of people say I didn't know how to form that into words, and they thank you for articulating in a particular kind of way. So maybe that's an issue too, but I think a lot of people are afraid to speak out, and I would rather people not be afraid to speak the truth. And I wrote a post on this that I shared on Facebook and YouTube, that I'm not trying to be the person who takes the slings and arrows for everyone. I don't want to be your shield. I want you to pick up your sword so you can all stand up together against this nonsense. So if my voice helps people do that, I'm obviously going to keep speaking out and hope for that particular mission of what I want to I want to see that fulfilled. I think there's other people out there who have similar opinions to mine and feel really kind of concerned or scared to say something. I don't think we should allow these people in the media to bully everyone into this narrative, into this false reality, and just take it and accept it. It's amazing when people call me, um, I don't know, pick me and all sorts of different things. Do you think it's I get more praise and affirmation going against the grain, like going against the way, the current and stuff? Um, I don't think so. Like, dude, it was not easy, I guess, being me in 2020. Because there was even a lot of people on my side of the aisle who were too, um, I don't know, some were guilt ridden for stuff they didn't do, weighed down by even their burden of whiteness, who were just too chicken, I guess. And I know some people can't speak up because they're concerned for their livelihood and other things like that. I'm not trying to minimize all of different people's experiences, but some people are just scared and I wouldn't even think to speak out. But in 2020, it was wild living in that world, especially someone who's followed BLM for a while and didn't like the organization. And more I learned, the worse it got. As far as what I discovered and what I knew, and all these people just giving their money, which basically went to LGBT organizations for trans and drag and other kind of stuff. Um, Knowing that they want to attack the nuclear family and dismantle cisgender privilege, and I would just tell people, and I graduated from a very rural area, and there all these people that I went to school with, all these white people went to school with, are just like confessing their racism, and I'm just like, were you racist the whole time? Or are you just are you just trying to get some street cred or something? Because this is really disappointing. I didn't know you were a racist back then. Wow. Wow. I don't think you're a good person for confessing it, especially if whether it's true or not, especially if it's and I'm not sure which one is. I mean, it's bad if you're a racist, but what kind of pathetic person would lie about it? It was just a wild time. It was just really, really a wild time, and I know I was not I was probably an annoying person to be friends with on Facebook during that time, because if I saw a post I didn't like, I was typing away, voicing my opinion. But it was a wild time. It was a really, really wild time. So I I don't say what I want to say for clicks and affirmation. I really don't. There are people out there who do, though. Granted, there are real pick me folks out there. That's true. But you can't just throw that out there without actually knowing someone's content, who they are, or whatever what they say. Because there are people who genuinely think in particular ways. I genuinely say what I genuinely think. And whether you continue to watch Black Tea, or you subscribe, or you donate, or it is what it is. But I can't live my life pretending for you. I just can't. And I say things sometimes that my audience doesn't like when I criticize. I got Trump folks and DeSantis folks, all my followers. Most people are pro Trump. I've voiced a lot of frustrations as of late for the former president, and so people haven't liked that. And I've had healthy debates with a lot of people, but there's some people who are on particular gravy trains. They know who follows them, and they'll you know say what their people want to hear. I say um how I feel. I say what I believe to be true. I say things that I know are true. And people coming at me, it is what it is. I know some people are, they feel bad and they are like, "Oh, we're with you." I appreciate you being with me. I don't want you to think just because I mentioned that I'm like so down about it or something. But I think it's important to talk about, just so people are aware of the work to be done, of the ignorance that's abound. I've been, like I said, I do have different screenshots, and I'll post them later. But I've had people who called me several people called me a coon. People call me Uncle Tom's, which I think is so crazy when people cite Uncle Tom as some kind of racial slur. And I'm like, you couldn't dare live up to the legacy of that book, of that character, of the profound impact that it had, the profound positive impact on Black people. You couldn't dare live up to that. So I think it's rich when people use that as an insult. How ignorant can you get? Someone the Now I did have I was gonna video reply to the comment, but this person ended up blocking me. I did screenshot their profile. So I am going to tell everyone who it was who said this, but someone called me they said they called me a Sambo and other things too, but the comment I was going to reply to, they called me a coon, and they said that I might have rabies, and it was late, at this time when we were going back and forth. And they said that I should go eat garbage. So that was one of the comments. And when I see comments like that online, and if it's a young person, I'm just like, how dare you embarrass your parents like that? That's the I always tell parents, I'm like, if your kids are online, please go look at their stuff, because they might be embarrassing you. Because a lot of really dumb comments and stuff that I see, sometimes I'm just like, I know a kid wrote that. Now a kid didn't write this, but if it's a young person, I see comments like that, I'm just like, why write something like that and make it seem like you had no good home training, that people of standards and values did not raise you, or that you took a sharp left turn. I just couldn't think of possibly embarrassing my parents in that kind of way. But this is an adult who said these things, and this is in their account and stuff. This is a person who um has it for like post family stuff on their page. So I'm like, I really don't understand that. At least get like a burner account or something to troll people. Don't be all racial and racist to people on your account where you post, videos of your kids seeing the Little Mermaid. That's so, like, why would you represent your family that way? I don't understand that at all. I don't get that. But I guess we're just different people. I guess we're just different people. Um yeah, so somebody said we all look alike. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. I mean, I think they mean like people who would say what they literally mean is people like me all look alike. Like we have who would say this particular stuff, but it's I don't know what that's supposed to mean, because I obviously don't look like Candace Owens or something like that. So I don't know. Sometimes people call me Little Candace, and I'm like, I am clearly the bigger one. I don't even understand that insult. I don't even understand that insult. So I'm gonna keep, saying my piece about these issues. But yeah, the song isn't racist. No, now could he be a racist? I don't know much about him. Maybe he is. Maybe he's a bad person. I don't know. I don't follow his music. I don't follow him. I don't know anything about it other than the song. Um but just from the lyrics themselves, the song came out in May, and CMT banned the song, took it out of rotation from the video. And by the way, it's now like the number one song on iTunes, so it made it a big hit, a smashing hit. So if cancellation was the goal, it did not happen. It did not happen. Because it's now doing very, very well. So good job, I guess. Good job, folks. Anyway, let's move on. Um this video I'm about to show you, if you're not familiar with the Carlee Russell case, there was a woman who claimed that she saw a child, was going to pick up a child or something. I'll run through like the timeline that Forbes laid out, but I really want to show you guys the press conference of her search history prior to her hoax, which is pretty funny. I just don't think if you're going to fake a kidnapping that you should Google movies like Taken and do you have to pay for an Amber Alert and other things like that. So she was missing for a few days. People thought she was kidnapped or whatever, and then she just kind of reappeared. And apparently she's just trying to get attention from an ex or something like that. So there was people were very concerned about what happened to her, and now there's all these particularly black people who are just like, there was one comment that said I don't know if this is one of my sisters sent me this screenshot. I don't know if this was on the Shade Room or somewhere else, but it said, "You had me bothering God for nothing." Because all these people were concerned, and she's lied to people, and people are even saying things like, at least Jussie Smollett, tried to pay people and other stuff. Like Jussie was dumb. He was dumb, but hearing all the things that she did was just really dumb. So before we jump into the timeline and stuff, this video is really funny. Someone did a Denzel Washington, but if he had to defend her, and this impression is just really good. So I just had to show it to you guys.
Another courtroom, I stand here telling you that my client.
Let me 1 second.
Ladies and gentlemen of the courtroom, I stand here telling you that my client may not be a victim of kidnapping. No. But she is a victim of lack of attention. It's not that she wanted to disappear, no, but she wanted to be more visible. Her methods, I guarantee you, they're unorthodox. I can guarantee you that. I stand here believing that they are unorthodox methods, but my client is just like everybody else. Huh? What do you do when you go on vacation? Huh? You go somewhere far from your usual, and then you take pictures, post them on social media in order to be seen. It's not more so that you wanted to get away, but it's that the fact that you wanted to be seen. Huh? In a new place, my client wanted to be seen. Huh? She wanted to be seen just like everybody else. And now she's seen. Maybe not a lot like that she wants to be, no. But you do know her name. Thank you.
The quiet little whisper there. That's I'll have to see what other Denzel impressions that he has, but that was pretty spot on. That was really good. That was really good. So everything you need to know about Carlee Russell's alleged disappearance. So this is from Forbes, the story of Carlee Russell, a 25-year-old nursing student who alleged she was kidnapped in Alabama last week while attempting to help a toddler on the interstate, and her mysterious return home have captivated the national attention, but law enforcement officials are now saying that she may not have been abducted at all, and there's no evidence of a lost child. Here's what we know about the case so far. Let me share the screen actually so you guys can see this. This is a wild story. I just it's bad when people commit like stuff like this, but just the tomfoolery, the audacity to be so dumb about it, I guess, but to Google all this stuff, just really wild. Okay, on July 13th, after leaving work for the day and grabbing dinner, Russell, while driving on I-459 in Hoover, Alabama, just south of Birmingham, called 911 to report a lost child in a diaper was wandering around the side of the highway. After she called, police officials say Russell called a family member who lost contact with her during the call, but the line remained open. Hoover Police Lieutenant Daniel Lowe said. Traffic camera footage released later by police showed Russell pulling over, exiting the driver's side of her red Mercedes, and walking around to the passenger side of the vehicle. But by the time police arrived 3 minutes later, Russell had disappeared. The circumstances surrounding her disappearance remained a mystery, with police releasing little information besides that they had no other calls about a missing child. Just before 10:45 p.m. on Saturday, about 49 hours after she first disappeared, Russell returned home on foot, ending a 2-day statewide search. Medics were dispatched to Russell's home after she returned on a Saturday to help an unresponsive but breathing person, but when they arrived, Russell was awake and speaking. After receiving medical attention, Russell spoke with investigators Sunday, and they observed a small lip injury, a tear in her shirt, and she said had and said she had $107 in cash in her right sock. She also gave investigators an account of what happened July 13th. Police say Russell told them a man came out of the woods and told her he was checking on the child, and then forced her over a fence and into a car. The next thing she could remember, Russell told investigators, was being in the trailer of a truck with a man with orange hair and a woman while hearing a baby crying. Russell further alleged that the man and woman took her to a home and took photos of her while she was undressed before she claims was able to escape and run through the woods to get home. Since she's returned home, law enforcement officials have been unable to verify details of her allegations. Through their investigation, police learned Russell purchased snacks from Target before she went missing. When gotta make sure you have them snacks when you're kidnapped, bruh. But when police located her car, snacks were not among the items found. At the time, police officers found a wig, a cell phone, and purse on the roadway near her abandoned car. The Hoover Police Department said in a Facebook post. Investigators also said Wednesday they did not find any evidence of a toddler on the interstate. The Hoover Police Department, with the help of the U.S. Secret Service, said they analyzed Russell's internet search history. Among the searches they found were Google searches of the action thriller kidnapping movie Taken. Let me just go ahead and play that video of that. It's remarkable. There's people reacting to it. There's just trends on like Twitter, people reacting to it. That's my sister telling me about. They're pretty funny, but it's just dumb. It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Cell phone that was left behind at the scene. We enlisted the help of the United States Secret Service in conducting this analysis. Part of what data includes several internet searches in the days leading up to her disappearance that I think are very relevant to this case. On July 11th at 7:30 a.m., the term "you have to pay for an Amber Alert" was searched. On July 13th at 1:03 a.m., the day of her disappearance, the term "how to take money from a register without being caught" was searched. On July 13th at 2:13 a.m., the day of her disappearance, the term "Birmingham bus station" was searched. On July 13th, 2:35 a.m., a search for a one-way bus ticket from Birmingham to Nashville was conducted with a departure date of July 13th. On July 13th at 12:10 p.m., a search for the movie Taken, a film about abduction, was conducted. There were 2 searches related to Amber Alerts on a computer at Carlee's place of employment, including one regarding the maximum age of an Amber Alert. There were other searches on Carlee's phone that appeared to shed some light on her mindset, but out of respect for her privacy, we will not be releasing the content of those searches at this time.
So, pro tip, be careful what you search on the internet, I guess. Especially when you're planning a kidnapping. The Taken thing was just super funny. Gosh. How to take from a register and not get caught. I don't know what kind of articles there are about those. I have to search some weird things sometimes because I write books, and you know like different wounds, and I guess usually they're like different violent kind of things for like different action scenes or whatnot, just kind of off the beat things. I might need to know that I don't know offhand, or different things about weapons or whatnot. So sometimes I'm like, man, my search history is odd. So just, be mindful of things. Like people can search your search history. If I was on the Daily Wire, I'd say, and that's why you need ExpressVPN. Don't let them have your data. Oh boy. Yeah, don't do stuff like this. This is for people to search for you and have not just the investment from people interested in the story who want you to be safe and the people whose attention that you wanted to get, but the actual manpower that goes into looking for you. I mean, that's really why people wanted Jussie to get what was coming to him, especially like the police and stuff. They use different resources to try to solve this crime when he himself paid to make it happen. And Jussie also like was obviously trying to the implications of the people who attacked him. It was political and racial, and there's all these awful elements attached to it as well. But the um going on different places doing interviews like I fought back, and the police having to actually investigate. It's not easy to get. I mean, I'm assuming I'm assuming it's not quite so easy to get away with crime. And just, you know, get a new man, get a hobby, buy a cat or something. Don't do this. This was just wild. Really wild. Anyway, I have no more commentary at the moment. I just I wonder what else she searched, but searching Taken and the Amber Alerts, and I'm sure my facial reactions were pretty wild as my sisters were telling me about some of the stuff going on. Um but what a wild world. Anyway, moving on. Um we know that the Hunter Biden investigation was derailed, according to different IRS whistleblowers, and they had testimony. I think it was 2 days ago, and there wasn't much talk about it. It was kind of blacked out a bit in the media, the mainstream media, um, unless you were like following particular people on Twitter. I don't know how much people were following it. So they had their whistleblowers give the report. So I'm going to actually play the opening of one of the whistleblowers, and it they detail their different concerns and different issues with Hunter Biden's investigation that was derailed. And people are like, oh, why are people focused about Hunter Biden? Because Joe Biden is totally intertangled with his son. And I'm not a big fan of, government taking your money and other kind of stuff like that. But when people are preaching pay your fair share, tax the rich, blah, 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 and people at the top are trying to cover for Hunter, who clearly used write-offs for hookers and other things like that. That's not good. And then his business dealings were obviously intertangled with Biden, his dad, and Biden kept lying about not even knowing anything, which never made sense. And now he started to change his story as different things came out about, like Hunter texting my dad's right here with me as he's threatening, different businessmen. And then the story kind of changed to, well, I've never been in business with my son, but their finances have been intertwined. Hunter pays for a lot of things. Um, but you'll get the gist of some of the stuff going on within this testimony. So this will be kind of long, but I think it's worth hearing, especially if you didn't hear it. So I'm gonna go ahead and play that for you guys. Also, I'm gonna play this other clip of this congressman who tried to one up um one up and I guess debunk these guys, and he just ended up confirming that Joe Biden was lying. So we'll start with this testimony first.
Committee. Today I sit here before you not as a hero or a victim, but as a whistleblower compelled to disclose the truth. That said, in coming forward, I believe I'm risking my career, my reputation, and my casework outside of the investigation we are here to discuss. I ultimately made the decision to come forward after what I believe were multiple attempts at blowing the whistle at the Internal Revenue Service. No one should be above the law, regardless of your political affiliation. I humbly view my role here today as providing the facts as I best understood them, and to let Congress and the administration and the public consider those facts and determine the best path forward. I recognize why I was present at the start of this investigation and was closely involved with the investigation for roughly 5 years. I'm just a part of the story. Others, including my colleague and Supervisor Gary Shapley, who is here with me today, have their own views and understandings of what took place during this investigation. I've been an agent with the IRS since 2010. In 2007, I received my undergraduate degree from Ohio University, my MBA from John Carroll University. Prior to starting my career at the IRS, I worked at Ernst & Young as an external auditor. Throughout my career with the IRS, I have worked a variety of successful criminal, tax, and money laundering investigations. In 2018, I transitioned to being a part of the International Tax and Financial Crimes Group out of the Washington, D.C. field office. I was the lead IRS case agent on the Hunter Biden investigation. I've recently discovered that people are saying that I must be more credible because I'm a Democrat who happens to be married to a man. I'm no more credible than this man sitting next to me due to my sexual orientation or my political beliefs. The truth is, my credibility comes today from my job experience with the IRS and my intimate knowledge of the agency's standard and procedures. I was raised and have always strived to do what is right. Although I do have my supporters, others have said that I am a traitor to the Democratic Party and that I am causing more division in our society. I implore you to consider that if you were in my position with the facts as I have stated them, ask yourself if you would be doing the exact same thing.
So I just want to I'm not going to interject too much, but I do appreciate him coming forward, because there's a lot of people who don't have any faith in our institutions, or the faith in them are very, very low. And if we have certain people, and I think instinctively we know there's obviously certain people who are kind of above the law, but we don't want to believe that. So the Hunter Biden situation is something that's like, oh yeah, there's certainly some people who are above the law, and you can be like, well, he's doing a plea deal. He shouldn't be having this plea deal, like where he has this gun charge is basically just going to drop off. He could end up buying again and to just not be on his record. So you can't have this attitude of, again, the rich have to pay their fair share, and people have to, we got to be strict on the guns and outlaw this and do this. And you have someone who lied on an ATF form. His girlfriend, who was his brother's widow, it ended up like throwing the gun away close nearby to a school. And I'm like, this is just really reckless behavior, and he should be at least punished for those things, but they don't want him to. But beyond that, he's clearly tried to write off things that shouldn't have been written off in his taxes. And again, there's all the intermingling with his dad, but that's one of the reasons why they didn't want to push too hard, because you can't really tug on Hunter too much before you're right there looking at Joe. So this information they've been looking into for a while. The laptop they've had for a long time, even though people came out and was like, oh, it reeks of Russian disinformation. That was always not true. So if we can't at least try to make it seem like people who are obviously guilty will get what's coming to them, but you persecute people over really, really minor things, it really, really crushes this whole idea of democracy we have. And we're not a democracy, we're, constitutional republic or whatever, but you get what I'm saying. It all operates on the consent of the governed. And if we have a society where we can't buy into the beliefs that it's built upon, we start to really lose our society. So I really do appreciate him stepping forward and just blowing the whistle. He's a whistleblower. and saying this wasn't done properly. This is a two-tiered justice system. And it doesn't make sense. We're not following normal protocol, and people who are supposed to have the power to operate don't really have the power. And he's going to say that we really do need a special like a real special counsel to look into the stuff, because it's been derailed. It's been derailed.
I hope that I am an example to other LGBTQ people out there who are questioning doing the right thing at the potential cost to themselves and others. We should always do the right thing, no matter how painful the process might be. I kind of equate this to experience and feelings I encountered when coming out. It was honestly one of the hardest things I ever had to go through. I contemplated scenarios that would have been highly regrettable, but I did what is right, and I'm sitting here in front of you today. I would first like to take a minute to thank some people for their unfettered help and support. First off, God, for giving me the strength and courage to get through this process. My husband, who has been my rock, has put up with me, my stress, and has had to deal with his personal information being out there. My attorney, Dean Zerby, who has agreed to represent me through this matter pro bono, and someone who has provided me so much help and guidance. My colleagues from the Hunter Biden investigation. The work that was done on this case is tremendous, but seems to be overshadowed by what is happening here today. And I just want to say to the investigative team that I am thankful for having worked with you. I also want to thank my family and friends back home in Northeast Ohio and Georgia. I don't live in the DC area. I had to fly here and have had to pay out of pocket for all my travel-related expenses in being a whistleblower. On that note, I would like to make another statement that I have not accepted a single payment from anyone for being a whistleblower. First, Mr. Chairman, while I have my written statement as well as my testimony before the Ways and Means Committee, I would like to touch on briefly 7 specific matters. First, in a recent letter to Congress, Mr. Weiss stated that he had been granted ultimate authority over this matter, but then later stated in the same letter that his charging authority is geographically limited and that he would need a President Biden-appointed U.S. attorney to partner with him in charging the case. Mr. Weiss stated that he was making all decisions necessary to preserve the integrity of the prosecution consistent with federal law, the principles of federal prosecution, and departmental regulations. In the Criminal Tax Manual, Chapter 10, found on the DOJ website, Tax Division policy states that cases involving individuals who fail to file tax returns or pay a tax, but who also commit acts of evasion or obstruction, should be charged as felonies to avoid inequitable treatment. In early August of 2022, federal prosecutors from the Department of Justice Tax Division drafted a 99-page memorandum. In so, they were recommending for approval felony and misdemeanor charges for the 2017, 18, and 19 tax years. That did not happen here, and I am not sure why. And as the special agent on this case, I thought the felony charges were well supported. When considering the elements of felony tax case, under the criminal code, there are two key considerations: willfulness and tax due and owing. In the criminal context, willfulness is defined as voluntary, intentional violation of a known legal duty. The tax loss is the monetary loss to the government. In early 2020, Hunter Biden's unfiled and delinquent tax returns were being prepared, which included his 2018 tax return. During the 2020 time period, by Hunter Biden's own account, he was sober, newly married, and writing his memoir. Hunter Biden's accountants requested that he sign a representation letter stating that all the deductions were for business purposes and were being reported appropriately. Statements Hunter Biden made in his book completely contradicted what he was deducting as business deductions on his 2018 return. While writing his memoir, Hunter stated, "I holed up inside the chateau for the first 6 weeks and learned how to cook crack." Hunter Biden allegedly falsely claimed business deductions for payments made to the Chateau Marmont, a hotel room for his supposed drug dealer, sex club memberships, falsely referenced on the wire as a golf membership, hotels he was blacklisted from, and a Columbia University tuition payment for his adult daughter. All of these items were used to support the willfulness element for felony tax evasion. These false deductions claimed by Hunter Biden caused a false return to be prepared that underreported his total income by approximately $267,000 and a loss to the U.S. Treasury of $106,000. Second, with respect to the 2014 tax year.
So just another pause here. Bro, why'd you write this memoir? Oh my gosh. Just a bunch of wild stuff in it. And I know that's just all the rage. People tell their life stories. And I mean, we all are just sharing stuff, I guess, whether it's on the internet and other different places. But man, if you're doing some shady stuff, like, you don't unless you've like turned the corner on like all of your shenanigans, have paid your dues and whatnot, it's not good to like lay out incriminating things like that. That's one of the reasons why we know he lied on his ATF form, because when he filled it out and said that he's not addicted to drugs in his memoir, that same time he's talking about how he's doing drugs. So it's just wild. It's just wild.
Hunter Biden did not report any of the money he earned from Burisma for the 2014 tax year, which would have been a tax loss to the government of $124,000. According to my previous testimony, Hunter Biden did not report this income to the IRS or pay tax on this source of income. There is nothing that I see in the public documents as to the Department of Justice's action against Hunter Biden that indicate that Hunter Biden will be required to pay tax on this Burisma income from 2014 or amend his 2014 tax return. I would like to note that the plea agreement, when released, may provide a greater understanding. Third, I would like to make clear that the charging document for the District of Delaware, Hunter Biden was charged with failure to timely pay his taxes for 2017 and 18 in excess of $100,000 for each tax year. On Hunter Biden's 2017 and 18 tax returns, Hunter reported taxes owed of approximately $581,000 and $620,000 respectively. This tax amount in 2018 would not have included the alleged additional tax due and owing from the filed false return of $106,000. Thus, as I read the public documents as the Department of Justice action against Hunter Biden, there is nothing that indicates Hunter Biden will be required to amend his false tax return for 2018. A false tax return that includes improper deductions for prostitutes, sex clubs, and his adult children's tuition. Again, perhaps when the plea agreement is released, it may provide us with a greater understanding. Fourth, the decision to bring felony counts against Hunter Biden was agreed to by both prosecutors and investigators. In the fall of 2021, I met with prosecutors assigned to the case, and we all agreed and decided which charges we are going to recommend in the prosecution report, which included felony counts related to 2014 and 18. In March of 2022, The prosecutors requested discovery from the investigative team and presented the case to the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office. In later meetings in early August of 2022, the assigned prosecutors, all 4 attorneys, agreed to recommend felony and misdemeanor charges for the 2017, 18, and 19 tax years, insofar as the Department of Justice Tax Division attorney sent an email about the process of bringing charges to include felony and misdemeanor tax charges in 2 separate districts, Delaware and Los Angeles. Less than a month later, Gary Shapley and I met with Mr. Weiss. He stated that he agreed with us regarding the 2014 and 2015 tax year misdemeanor and felony charges, but that this could somehow affect the later year misdemeanor and felony charges that he conveyed were stronger. Despite these facts, the plea deal that is being discussed occurred. To this day, I do not have a reason why that occurred. From my perspective, this might not have been problematic had the investigation been handled in the ordinary course. Fifth, as I had previously testified and is contained in my written testimony, I have outlined for you some instances in which assigned prosecutors did not appear to follow the normal investigative process, slow-walked the investigation, and put in place unnecessary approvals and roadblocks from effectively and efficiently investigating the case. A number of times we were not able to follow the facts. I am happy to respond to questions concerning these instances. Sixth, I will also note that while the impression has been conveyed by the U.S. Attorney in Delaware that he has similar powers to that of a special counsel in this case, free rein to do as needed, that was not the case. It appeared to me, based on what I experienced, that the U.S. Attorney in Delaware in our investigation was constantly hamstrung, limited, and marginalized by DOJ officials as well as other U.S. attorneys. I still think that a special counsel is necessary for this investigation to further handle ancillary investigations that are spun off and relate to Hunter Biden, but may not have venue in Delaware. Lastly, I would like to conclude again by encouraging Congress and the administration to consider establishing an official channel for federal investigators to pull the emergency cord and raise the issue of the appointment of a special counsel for consideration by senior officials. I do not want my colleagues at the IRS, FBI, and other federal law enforcement agencies to go through my frustrating journey and that of our team. I believe such a path will strengthen the public's confidence in their institutions and their fair and equal treatment of all Americans under the law. Thank you, and I look forward to the questions.
Thank you.
So that was his opening statement. So it wasn't really talked much about, and the Democrats really didn't have much to do. They couldn't really debunk them. So here's an example of Dan Goldman, Rep. Dan Goldman, who tried to play Biden family lawyer and just screwed up.
And then you describe a lunch, what we talked about earlier, where Joe Biden came to say hello at the Four Seasons Hotel to a lunch that he was having with CEFC executives, right?
That's correct.
But what you didn't talk about is what Rob Walker said the origination of that lunch was. And you testified that he said that Hunter told his dad, according to Rob Walker, quote, "I may be trying to start a company or try to do something with these guys." Now, let me ask you something. That doesn't sound much like Joe Biden was involved in whatever Hunter Biden was doing with the CEFC if Hunter Biden is telling him that he's trying to do business with them, does it?
No, but it does show that he told his father he was trying to do business, and he was talking
well,
to his
that is
father
true. Hunter Biden
about the
does
business.
try to do business. That's correct.
Okay, the problem here is that Joe Biden continuously said that, I mean, there's lots of other problems. Obviously they were intermingled with each other, but as far as like their finances and their dealings and stuff, and they're not being honest about how much Joe Biden has been involved. But Joe Biden was saying that he didn't talk to his son at all about his business dealings. And when he was saying that on the campaign trail, it didn't make any sense. And even people from CNN was like, okay, why wouldn't you at least talk to him about it a little bit, to know, at least to make sure that Joe Biden wouldn't be doing something inappropriate while having Hunter at different places or interacting with his partners or whatever. You kind of need to know a little bit of the line so you know not to cross it. So just to be like, I don't know anything about it, this just wasn't true. And so now that there's evidence that it's not true, they're kind of trying to walk back and change the story a little bit. And the president's language is now like, oh, I've never been in business with my son, when it was, I have nothing to do with it. I don't know anything about it. I don't talk to him about that stuff. So Goldman here is trying to say, well, if Hunter is telling him what he's doing, that can't possibly mean that Joe was involved in it, which maybe that might be the case at first for business dealing, but that doesn't mean that they're not getting in bed together eventually. So that wasn't a great point anyway, but he totally ended up confirming the lie that we all knew, that Joe Biden knows about Hunter's dealings and isn't someone who's ignorant of them and just, keeps in his lane. That was never it was never true. It was never true, and you were silly if you ever believed that. But good job. Good job there, guys. Good job there, guys. So I don't know, I'm pretty cynical. So I don't know if they will be able to pressure for there to be a real special prosecutor and to have something more go through with this investigation and to have something beyond this plea deal, the sweetheart plea deal that Hunter has. I wouldn't hold my breath for it. I think that's needed. I think that's necessary. But I don't think that's going to happen. It's pretty wild though, knowing how they derailed this investigation, how much they don't want him to, I don't know, go to jail or even pay all these tax or all the back stuff, or really get his up and comings, or at least have the gun charge on his record. They just want him to basically be off scot free as much as they can as possible. But on the flip side, in Michigan they charged the Trump electors, because while they were debating like the swing states and stuff, when Trump had different stuff in court, you have a certain amount of time before you have to like what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of. We'll just say officiate, validate everything with the election. So they didn't want to say, oh, well, Trump won this case and he actually won Michigan, but he doesn't have any electors, so we can't reward him any. So they're like, well, here's these electors here. So here's a slate that they have. And so actually this happened between Kennedy and Nixon in Hawaii. And it actually turned out, this was in like in 1960. And Kennedy had actually won and was awarded, but he had like false electors or whatever, or backup electors, we'll say. So there's a precedent there, but Dana Nessel, who is a crazy attorney general of Michigan, decided to charge all the electors, and it's pretty wild. This is what nationwide news, and it's wild to see faces of people that I know that are kind people, good people, on CNN, and people talking about them like they're some kind of mastermind criminals, when it's just it's really not like that at all. And I was telling my family about it, and like Kathy Burton, she's the national committee woman for Michigan, and her husband passed away from cancer not too long ago. I mean, it was a couple of years ago now, I guess, but I went to her husband's funeral, and she's just such a sweet lady. And the idea, and most of these, the youngest person on the list is like 55, and I'm like, they want these people to go to jail for signing a piece of paper, and Hunter Biden lied on an ATF form and wrote off hookers on his tax returns as a business expense. And it's just wild. It's just really wild. So there's a lot of people disillusioned with their whole entire system and don't feel like it's fair in the least bit. So we definitely need a change, and I don't want this to be something that's partisan, that only conservatives feel like have their eyes open and saying that the system is lopsided. So I am grateful, very grateful to this whistleblower who was, by his admission, a Democrat who's married to a man. Um, some people are calling him a traitor, but he just wants to stand up and do the right thing because he sees that things are being unfairly done. And by the way, last time Biden was in office, he wasn't the president, but Obama was a president. They had some shady stuff with the IRS too. Targeting conservatives. So unfortunately, this is a pattern, and we should feel that you can be upset about who gets in office and their vision and the different things that they pass, but we shouldn't feel like every election is life or death. We shouldn't have to feel that way, but we do, because we're like, well, what kind of justices they're going to appoint? If we just elected people who would appoint justices who followed their duty with the Constitution and just looked at the law and interpreted it, we wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, Biden's getting in, it's the worst thing ever. Um, but people want to legislate from the bench. That's what they're hoping. That's what they're hoping, as opposed to like people going through Congress and passing those bills, and or if they want to change the Constitution, there's a way to do that, but you gotta you gotta make that case to the people. You gotta make that pitch to the people, as opposed to like hoping that you can pack the courts and one day get like some kind of gun case and be like, oh, the whole thing's amiss. We got to get rid of the Second Amendment or something. That's what people hope for. It shouldn't be like that. There's processes in place for particular reasons, and there's just a reason to feel like the system is really upside down right now. So grateful to the whistleblowers. um I'm glad that the Republicans are, of course, grilling these folks and looking into this stuff. I wish the Democrats cared more about the appearance of fairness. um but that they wield their power, man. They wield their power. They wield their power when they have it. So the most important thing is to make sure that we win, and we pick people who can win, who wants to at least restore some kind of balance or something. But we gotta support people who can win, because if we support people who can't, we're just gonna have more of the same, and it's just going to be worse. Especially, you see how radical Biden is. All bets are off when someone's a lame duck. That's why I'm really, really concerned about Michigan, because our crazy people in charge are all lame ducks, and they have full control, just full control. Last thing I want to show you guys. There's this video going around on Twitter. And apparently a Michigan journalist reached out to the Bears. And this is a tweet, and I'm trying to figure out who's this journalist. I haven't seen anything yet. I don't know. I guess I could probably guess, but if I find out, I'll tell you. But a prominent Michigan-based journalist and sports host has reached out to the Bears over her concerns of a video that carries racist undertones. And they said white parents need to educate their children on what is exclusively Black culture. I want to know who said this. Some people are saying Jamil Hill. That's a possibility. I don't know, though. I don't think she lives in Michigan. I think she's from Michigan, but I don't know if that's them. I think they should say it if it's true. This video, though, I'm about to show you, is not racist in the least bit. But you can be the judge. That's it. A white kid with some braids to look like a player who he obviously admires. That's what they reached out to the Bears for and said that it was racist. And they said white parents need to educate their children on what is exclusively black culture. And you don't own braids, bruh. Oh my gosh. So this reminds me of a story. One time somebody tagged me in a video on TikTok, and it was a follower of mine, and they were white, and they tagged me in a video that was something along the lines of like, "Oh, white people can't do this" or something. I can't remember if it was hair or music or whatever. It wasn't like singing the N-word or something like that. It was like something stupid. It was something like where, something trivial. And I'm sure they were expecting me to do like a stitch and like tell that person off and be like, "You're a racist, people can do blah blah blah." But I was like, I don't feel like doing a video like that. And I just kind of lost track of time and didn't end up replying to it. But if I had done a video reply, I would have replied to the person who tagged me, and I would address the person in there making those claims. Would have been like, you shouldn't need to tattle to the black conservatives to be like, "Hey, they're saying we can't do this." Just stand up and say, "Screw you, I don't care what you think. You can't tell me what to do." You can't tell me what to do. I'm going to live my life, and if you have a problem, that's your problem. It's your problem. If enough people said, "You can't boss us around," like I said earlier today in a post, I said, I'm a minority within a minority. Right? I'm already a minority, but I'm a minority within like a minority. So if everyone just kind of stepped and said, we don't care what you people think, that would have way more power than me fussing at these folks for people or whatever. So just I don't know what kind of words she and other people would have for this, white mother or whatever, but he's just has someone who he looks up to, who he admires apparently enough that he wanted to dress like him and get the glasses and they pose together, and it is what it is. If people talk about cultural appropriation all the time, actually I saw this video because someone retweeted it, who I follow. We follow each other. Let me read the post because it was kind of funny. He said, "America is highly race obsessed. Why is this an issue? Because of his hair? Too much cultural appropriation? Anyway, let me get back to drawing in my Japanese/American style." Because he's appropriated like anime kind of style into his work. People appreciate different culture, and other people wouldn't apologize. Like there was one white woman who was at the prom or something. She wore a kimono, and all these people were so angry about it, and it was like viral, and people were like, "Oh, she's racist," blah blah blah. If a black girl wore a kimono, I don't think she would get that kind of heat. And maybe she would, maybe she wouldn't, but I just feel like black people be like, "I don't care what you have to say," or "I don't care what you, I'm gonna wear what I want to wear." It just seems like there's a different kind of mentality. Just say, "Screw you." I'm gonna do what I want to do. It's my hair. It also kills me. It kills me when people be like, you're not supposed to do that. It's like, oh, but you can buy someone else's hair from someone else's ethnicity in a different color where you're blonde fake locks while you criticize people for braiding their hair. Shut up. It so doesn't matter. It so does, and people are so desperate to have these different corporations or different places pass bills that they can't criticize or retaliate against you for different hairstyles, but then you want to gatekeep everything. You want to gate. I talked the other day how people asked his permission from a woman, like, "Are we allowed to wear bonnets?" I'm like, that woman wants to make money. Yes, go buy her bonnet. And thankfully, she was like, yes, bonnets are for everyone. You can wear a silk bonnet. It's good for your hair. So I want to know who said what they said. So I hope it comes out. Maybe there will be a think piece soon. I'll let you know. I'll let you know if it comes to light. I think the suspicion is kind of reasonable. Um, if it's Hill, but who it might not be. It might be someone else. It might be someone else. So we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on the website, different articles, different videos, etc. Make sure that you guys are dropping your, your name, your email, and the email address so you guys can get different. When we send out emails, I promise I do not spam you. I should send out more emails if anything, but make sure that you guys drop in your emails. Check out different merchandise that we have available at the store. Such as, we got these Life Wins and Roe and Casey bordered shirts are made after like the Roe v. Wade overturning. We got these the Constitution is a Glorious Liberty document shirt with Frederick Douglass on there. Of course, like the black tea mug. And we got the You Are Not That Special in the shirt. We also have those in mugs. So guys, go ahead and check out different merch at the store. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate. It does cost to stream. And you're like, why does it cost to stream? Because I'm streaming at multiple different places and I have like a software and stuff that I'm using. So if you can support to help with that overhead, thank you. It of course costs to run my website and my email, other stuff like that. So if you can help, God bless you. I appreciate everyone who has, those who continue to do so. If you can do more, super God bless. But to all of those of you who watch and who comment and like and at people and tell them to watch, it's very much appreciated on this journey to continue growing Black Tea News. I just appreciate you guys in whatever capacity that you do to support. And again, I don't do what I do for the words of affirmation or whatever, but I do appreciate them to know people, have my back and other stuff like that. So I'll keep just standing up for what I feel is right. And I hope that you guys will not just stand behind me, but also stand beside me. Again, I understand different people's situations where they are concerned about their livelihood and their jobs and retaliation, other stuff like that. Like I know certain people can't say certain things because of their professions. They could lose different licenses and other stuff like that. So I'm not trying to belittle people's situations. I mean, when I worked for the Michigan Republican Party, I couldn't say all the things that I say on here. That must sound wild because you're like, even working for the Michigan Republican Party. Yeah, because when I worked for them and I worked in the comms department, it wouldn't have mattered so much if I worked in any department, but I was a representative, for the party, working for the party. People watched our social media, and there was a particular person who often got in trouble, so it kind of made it hard, rough for all of us. But I remember one day I made a post and I got a call from my boss, and she told me to take it down, and I was really mad. I was like, I'm ready to quit mad, and I wanted to say, you better tell me right now how this post goes against Republican values if you want me to take it down. But I didn't talk back to her. I was like, okay. I took it down, but I was really mad. So I've been in similar situations, though not as bad. That's not bad as some people have it. Some people are really boxed in. So I understand that not everybody feels that they are in a position or are in a position to be vocal, but you don't have to be vocal on the internet. You can talk to your neighbors and talk to your friends about that's more effective. I mean, to a degree. I mean, depends what kind of reach that you have, but some of the people that we talk to on the internet, they're some are bots. Some are not even real. Some people like aren't even all there mentally. So some you got to know what kind of I used to like engage with like everybody to the last word, and quite a bit of that was a waste of time. So you have to discern what conversations are worth having too. But I've had a lot of, I think, meaningful conversations with people online, but we need people to do face-to-face conversations, because there's some people who aren't even online, especially not chronically online or online as much as like you and I. So my goal isn't for you to go on the internet and act a fool and be like Joan of Arc or something. My goal is for you to have the courage to talk to your friends and say, hey, have you considered this position? Have you considered this position? Have you considered voting for this person? To challenge them in a face-to-face conversation with someone so they don't think you're a lunatic. and some people are so emotional about politics that they'll cut you out and stuff, and then that's terrible that people basically make a god out of a political party or a particular political figure. I think that's crazy, and I think that's unfortunate. But there's plenty of people out there who know you and know that hopefully you're not a crazy person, and once you start kind of just like giving your 2 cents about something, they'll kind of understand. Like I was at dinner with a relative, and they were talking about how they didn't like Betsy DeVos, and they were talking about different policies or whatever that they thought she had. And so everybody kind of looked at me like, are you going to say something? I was kind of like and so I just kind of wanted to eat my shrimp, to be frank, but we talked a little bit, and then I explained like school choice, and they're like, oh, that sounds like something I really would like. And I'm like, okay, well, that's what Betsy DeVos was pushing. And they're like, oh, okay, well, I didn't know that. So you never know how these conversations might go if you have the courage to have them. So that's what I want. So everybody doesn't need to go on Facebook and be a Facebook, warrior. That's not how I necessarily need you to fight, or people need you to fight. They need you to like talk to your relatives and your neighbors and friends and hopefully change hearts and minds that way. Because some people are never going to read your post. There's plenty of people who might read your post and never tell you and never comment. I find that out all the time. People are like, oh, I really enjoy your post. I'm like, you didn't like my post. Like, oh, your post is really profound. Like, you didn't say anything. You never know how much people are watching you. But some people will never see your stuff, and you'll get hidden in an algorithm. And so you don't have to put a screenshot out in the world for someone to send to your boss and be like, you need to get rid of this person because they don't think Dylan Mulvaney is a woman. Like, you don't have to do that so much, but you could at least have a conversation with a friend. So anyway, last thing I'll say, gosh, it's already the weekend. It's already Friday. Go ahead and check out some of my books. As I said at the top of the hour, I have written over 30. I have 17 that are published. 2 are fiction. 2 are nonfiction, sorry, and the rest are fiction. One of my nonfiction books is, of course, God is Blatantly Against Abortion. My youngest sister actually did the artwork for this, so she did a beautiful job. I love this cover so much, but it talks about theology, obviously, but also talks about rights, and it talks about philosophy and science and other things like that in the political landscape. So I gave an example the other day of why I decided to make a book on theology, and my reasoning was or the example that proved true to why I needed to do this. Someone wrote on a comment on Equal Rights Institute. Now, Equal Rights Institute, they don't argue religion at all. They don't bring it up, or they're really good. They train pro-life people how to make better arguments. They like to say we train them to be less weird, but so they asked them a question about bodily autonomy, and so they answered the question. And in the comments, this person like wrote like, "Oh, Exodus, 20." No, I'm sorry, Exodus like 22, and I'm like, that has nothing to do with any. It was out of the blue, and so I responded to them. But I thought it was so weird. But people do it all the time. Like, you could say nothing about religion, and people were like, "Well, life starts at first breath." Like, that's not in the Bible. So anyway, I had to keep addressing stuff like that. So it turned into different videos and turned into articles, and then eventually just evolved into a book. So it's very diverse. So go ahead and check it out. And here's another book of mine now this one's a you know, a nonfiction one, but I have all kinds of stuff that I have available. This one's really popular, The Dark Mermaid. And I have my historical fiction fantasy book is really popular too. At least popular among the things that I have. I'm not a J.K. Rowling level yet, but we'll see one day. And then of course my books, Super Kid and Super Kid 2, about a boy with an overactive imagination. He doesn't really have powers. He teams up with his friend Kiara, who goes along with it because she has a huge crush on him, but she becomes Princess Lady Diva, and they help out this other kid in their neighborhood named Lee, so he thinks it's real, so they train him, and he's kind of like their Batman, so he becomes Stick Man. And they go around the community just doing good, so it's got a lot of great values and stuff in it. So one of my subscribers but got it for their son, and they finished it within like 4 hours, and they are 10. So it's very flattering when I hear stuff like that. So thank you guys for your support, and I hope you guys enjoy your weekend, and I will see you on Monday. God bless.